Our work session here at 9:30. Nothing formal to do. We have a few updates, pipeline, parking update. We're going to talk about the master plan in regular session and Wolf Creek. So let us begin with the pipeline update.
Can we start with Wolf Creek? I just haven't on my.
Either that or we'll start with Wolf Creek. Go ahead.
So Beth East and I went out and looked at Wolf Creek, and there were some property owners that are adjacent that wanted us to look at a few items. So we thought we'd get a little first-hand experience. We're about 85% through construction. So at this point, we're down to fine tuning. But just to set expectations, I wanted to show this is kind of a typical cross-section of Wolf Creek as it's going to be in the future. It's free from dams and free to flow, but it's not your traditional V ditch cleared of vegetation. So it's going to continue to look like a vegetated stream. And what happened? There we go. So what you can see is it's got clear flow. The major log jams or obstacles have been removed. Right here, what you see is the gentleman walking over to this stump. This is one of the concerns that was raised, that some of the stumps, so the obstructions to be removed were dead and leaning trees, dead trees, log jams, obstructions, and live leaning trees. This obviously was a live leaning tree. It was cut, treated, but it started to regrow. So that's one of the questions that was raised. And you can see here, this tree was clearly cut, but then we have some live vegetation coming back. And so my understanding is that if it's cut and treated at the same time, the stump won't regrow. What I'm told from the contractor is there was so much moisture in these trees that they were actually using sap, and you couldn't paint them. So the fix on this is to go in, make a fresh cut, and retreat them so that they don't grow back. Another one of the concerns that was raised is you can see this was a log jam that was removed out of the channel, and the way the construction document reads is the material should be moved up to such a point where it won't re-enter the stream. Not necessarily out of the floodplain, but out to a point where it has very little chance to re-enter the stream. And so you can see this is pretty close to the channel. Beth is standing in the channel. The water could possibly get up there and get this floating and back into the channel, and then we'd have a problem. So I don't think anybody has a problem paying for it once. They just don't want to pay for it twice. Similar view where you can see how close the proximity to the channel. In the defense of the contractor, they know that they have some piles that they have to move, and they need to come back and do that. There were some standing crops that were holding them back, and they expect this fall or early winter to get back and move piles, but we just want to make sure that we have identified those for them before we give a certificate of completion. And this, you can see in the back here, we have a dam that was removed and placed up on the bank. So this is old debris. And then we had a water event, and down here you can see that dam that they removed and put up in supposedly out of the stream has already started to collect additional debris. So it's already damming again. So that's clearly one that's in the flow of water, has a high probability of becoming dislodged, and it's obstructing some sort of flow in order, to collect that kind of debris. So minor issue, but just a little bit of sloppiness on the workmanship. This was a log that was clearly fresh cut, and it was left behind in the stream, and the question becomes, is that going to become an obstruction? Should have it just been removed? So, and we just, we just checked about a mile strip of Wolf Creek, so, I can't speak to the rest of it, but obviously they have some cleanup to do. And they admittedly, but just for information's sake, where we're at, we think that, we still have retainage. We have one change order that needs to be completed, and that's the removal of a significant sandbar. And we also, have these piles to be moved back out of the flood zone. And if construction's completed, by end of Q1 19, it should go on the duplicate February of 20. Is kind of what we're seeing. All the the assessments are done. It's just a matter of what the final number is going to be.
Was there anybody there from the contractor? I mean, maybe Mark didn't want that, I don't know.
There wasn't anybody there from the contractor. No, it was property owners and conservation district, primarily some trustees.
So someone else, will they give them something in writing, or is Mark going to go over it with them?
Yeah, Mark's going to go over with them, and it's going to be, they'll do a walkthrough, and Mark will give a certificate of completion until, these issues are remedied.
Right.
Well, the good news is it's completion of, or the near completion of a project that we've been discussing long before our time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
50 years.
yeah, we're making some headway and clearing that path.
Yeah. And I just want to say Beth's an all-star. Like, she was out there in muck boots hiking the stream. She's, she had sweat beads all over her. We get our money out of her. So she's a trooper. If I get to pick one person to go to the zombie apocalypse with me, it's gonna be her. So,
Okay, so I guess the.
You mentioned a change order, is that the one we already did?
that's the one we proved.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
the work has not been done yet.
Okay.
It's on
Just
that.
wanted to make
There's a
sure.
significant land mass
Okay,
in the channel that's an obstruction, and it needs to go away.
okay.
All right, let's go on to
The parking update, so we have a prospective lot on Jefferson Street for juvenile probate. I guess the current update is that juvenile probate's gonna move into their building end of September,
September.
maybe? Early October, is that still the
Yep,
timeline?
Yep,
And so, in our parking plan, we haven't allowed for any new parking for juvenile probate, with the exception of creating new. So, the alternative is to put them in the RTA and Hanson lot, Commissioner's lot. But this idea has been percolating along, and so I just want to update you all on it. We have the potential to lease some land adjacent to Calvert's lot and do a collaborative partnership with a few folks downtown. Essentially, the lot next to East Tower, in between East Tower and Calvert Student Lot is a green space. It's owned by the diocese. Calvert is willing and interested in leasing that to us to create a lot for juvenile probate. And the consideration for that would be a 10-year lease. We would pay essentially the cost to repave their existing student lot and then lease it for $1. There's a small strip of land behind East Tower that is required to get ingress egress from the alley across the street, and they're willing to participate as well. The city of Tiffin is willing to participate with maintenance, sealing, and striping, and they've also done a lot of work on parking lot design for us. From the county's perspective, we would be in for construction, and our prosecutor would be drawing up the agreements. I've met with Josh and kind of got that ball rolling. And the design also calls for some landscaping to make it look like it fits. And we want to try to go out and get some additional funding from the foundations in order to make that happen. So this is what I'm talking about. This is where we're sitting now in the commissioner's office. This is the alley that leads up to the RTA. And this is where the existing Calvert student parking lot is. Calvert would be over here, East Tower would be up here. Essentially, we would add this parking lot on Bishop Diocese-owned land, change the traffic flow using this alley back here for ingress egress. Jefferson, of course, is one way, so we'd have entrance here, entrance here. This would be some sort of divider island, so the students would essentially during the day stay here, and the county employees jury selection would stay back here, and then after hours it would be one seamless parking lot. The kind of landscaping we're thinking is, you know, some kind of landscape islands with trees and decorative flowers. Not looking to add maintenance to our maintenance department, but you know, if someone else is willing to maintain that and fund it, then have that available to them.
Is it still by this was from the school board, this, what we had received in the
Yeah.
email last week. So the city of Tiffin's going to still do the snow removal, trash removal, ceiling striping?
Right.
Okay.
Well, that's the plan, yeah.
That's
We need to
part of the
move
proposal.
to a maintenance agreement with the city. We don't have that executed, but that was their offer.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously part of this parking coming out of the Justice Center, and that is, you know, municipal too. It's not that it's no matter why the city, and it's kind of away from the immediate downtown,
Yeah,
but that.
we've housed the judge rep and his staff and county parking, and
Yeah.
happy to do it. So, you know, we're just all trying to collaborate and get the best overall program. But this creates about 50 new spots, which there's 30 in juvenile probate, and if there's jury selection, you know, Judge Kelby might bring in 20 or 30 for jury selection days, and they would like to have a spot where they could send them and have, you know, a designated spot for jury selection days. And that they have a jury, so that was the request.
Okay. Pipeline.
Are we gonna have an update on the parking study?
The parking committee is meeting next week to review the parking study, and, you know, I don't know where that'll go after that, but there was scheduling issues, getting everybody's schedules to align, so Judge Schuff was able to get everybody lined up for next week, and the planner will be in to present that document. I mean, that's a long range issue, but it does inventory parking and call for additional work, so. Had the opportunity to meet with the folks from Rover Pipeline, and they were able to give us an update. The pipeline is complete in Ohio. The engineer monitored the roads, and the roads are restored with two small exceptions where they were boring under streams. I guess there's a couple spots that will still need to be complete, small spots. And then once those spots are repaired, there'll be an official certificate of completion, and there'll be a 2-year bond on maintenance after that for any unforeseen wear and tear on the roads that needs to be repaired. There's one open issue with Bloom Township where they think Bloom Township needs to berm, so you know, I am advocating for that. The way this process happened is the Precision Pipeline came in and actually drove the roads that they were going to drive and videoed them and cataloged the condition of the roads. And then when repairs were needed to be done, they went back, drove the roads, compared it to the video, so there's, you know, documentary evidence. This issue with the berm wasn't apparent in the video, but they're open to a conversation because some of the Bloom Township trustees feel like there's an issue there. The other important fact is that all the relevant information required for taxation has been transferred to the Ohio Department of Taxation, and so they're reviewing that. That's the capital cost and whatnot. And we should have a line of sight on that in October. Julie's hiding in the hallway, so she doesn't want to get
It's
dragged
like
into
church,
this.
I didn't want to sit up front.
So, you know, we had some numbers earlier, but the only thing that they would commit to is that the capital cost didn't go down, so they didn't come in under budget. So that's, you know, that from a taxation standpoint, that's a good news issue. And our new contract, because it's getting transferred out of construction and into operation, energy exchange, energy transfer partners. Our new contact is Mark Ryan, and he's the VP of operations. And it's my understanding that he's met with EMA and had conversations about what to happen in the event of it, you know, unlikely event of a disaster. Some other things to note, that they're going to fly this pipeline weekly. So if you see aircraft low going across the sky, it should say on the bottom, you know, pipeline survey or whatever, and you'll kind of get used to seeing that routine. If anybody's encroaching or digging, or if there's any kind of, you know, sinkhole developing or anything, they'll see that. But one of the things they wanted to emphasize with me was that this is all of our responsibility to monitor this. So if you see something, call, let people know, because safe operation, you know, depends on everybody's eyes. So to the extent that you know, you have it near you or on your property, if you can help them out and watch what's going on, it'd be very helpful.
Yeah, Julie, I'm glad you're here. Pipeline income, there's two of them. at
What
this
do you
point.
mean?
We talked about the income that will be generated from the pipelines that are going through the county. And I know that there's a long delay on when they're in production, when we actually start receiving the money. Can you give us an idea as to what the timeline is for us to actually start receiving some funds and
Sure.
and approximate amounts?
Sure. As Shane has indicated, the Rover Pipeline has filed their public utility return with the State of Ohio Department of Taxation. In talking to those folks, all they would tell me, since it's a private return, much like personal property returns were back in the day, was that they had filed. Now, from what I understand, one line was in operation as of 12/31/2017. That's what they had to report to the State of Ohio, what was in operation. So I'm going off of communications from trustees, the engineer, that's probably all we'll see for revenue for 18 payable in 19.
Right.
As far as values, I had school districts, townships, the commissioners asked me what they may see as income. We won't have that information from the Department of Taxation until the 1st of October.
They
what-
made some estimates along the way,
They did,
yeah,
but
nothing concrete to you.
I'm a little jaded until you see it from the state.
I know there's been some frustration on other counties about the timing of when the money actually did start to
Yeah.
come in and how much they are claiming that they're generating an income.
Right.
But we won't really have the full effect until probably 20, because these things, some of them were in operation December of 17, most of it's gonna be in operation in 18 for the tax bill in 19, which we see in 20.
Correct, that's the way I understand it. And they pay, like residential taxpayers pay on an effective rate, which is a reduced rate based from the voted. Public utilities or this pipeline will be paying at the higher rate or the voted rate. So if you see on your tax bill for reference, the voted rate of 64.2, that's what they'll be paying, whereas you or I may be paying on a rate of 48.9.
And does Kinder Morgan, Julie, have they filed with the Department of Taxation? Because that one's been done for, a little while. That's northern end of.
Is that the
Center County.
Nexus?
No, this is.
Kinder Morgan?
Kinder Morgan, yeah, this is the one that actually started in Pleasant Township, went through Adams, Thompson, and headed on east end. So that's one you might want to check on to see what their status, because it's a lot smaller lines, a 12-inch line with it, but I didn't know if you had.
It all
any-
depends on the product they're transporting too, whether or not they pay tax, because was it Sunoco that ran along 224? I think we're all familiar with that. They did not pay any tax on that because of the product that was being transported in the pipeline.
What products are they tagged?
You would ask me.
Okay, well, that's all right. All right.
Rover
Fine.
Pipeline is 100% natural gas.
Right, that's
And
what-
that's been contracted out for 20 years by producers down in the shale region. So from a viability standpoint, it's gonna be around a long time. There's, trillions of cubic feet of gas down in the shale area. And so that capacity has been spoken for.
Yeah, and that's what I'm pretty sure Kinder Morgan is, because that's what they tapped into the line there at the old gas plant for the natural gas there, so I'm assuming that's going to be.
I guess the
nat
question
gas, so-
would be, were they in operation as of 12/31/17? As to whether we'll see anything 18 payable and 19.
Sure, but yeah, I just want to make sure you're aware of that one, because
Yeah,
sometimes.
I will
it's-
check on that
yeah,
to see if they
so-
have a return filed.
Yep.
Yeah, the other thing on the Rover is, once that capital cost is certified, and I think it was $5 billion across the state of Ohio and broken down by county, FERC mandates how it's depreciated. So it's depreciated over 40 years, 2.5% a year. So, we will see that asset decline in value, but it's all state mandated, or FERC mandated. So, the other thing that I wanted to say is there was some report of the pipeline rumbling at some point at startup, and some folks had asked me about that. So I asked that question, and essentially when they pressured up the pipeline to test it, and then they released that gas, that creates the rumble. So that wouldn't be a normal operation thing, that would be an exceptional thing in the event that they had to pressure test the pipeline or something. So there was some question about that. I had one citizen approach me and asked me about the rumble of the pipeline at startup, and that was related to pressure testing the line.
Okay, any other topics for discussion? Since we're on the side of income here, where are we at with, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but where are we at with the bonding debt at this point in time? We haven't talked about that in a while. We've got the new one coming on, obviously, with or have the new one coming on with the
Yeah.
courthouse. We've completely paid off one of them in advance.
The
Pre-
bond?
Yeah, one of the.
Oh, we prepaid a payment in it.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Okay,
Because
so-
we were gonna do double payments in 2018, so it'll reduce down in 2019.
2019 is when it reduces down by how much? 300 some thousand a
Yeah,
year?
yeah. I'd have to get the exact numbers, but
Which is basically a push with the
New one.
the debt that we have on the new one, yeah. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, any other items for discussion? We got 6 minutes. All right, let's recess until 10 o'clock.